How are we doing, ladies and gentlemen? It's Nex from Gamer Theories with your breakdown and analysis for episode 4, The Spoils of War. If you haven't seen this episode yet, then careful for spoilers beyond this point. So, it turned out that the teaser of the cat's paw dagger being brandished was just Baelish giving it to Bran. I have no idea what he was trying to gain by doing this. Maybe he thought that Bran would be taking up as Lord of Winterfell and this was him attempting to befriend him. But I like how Bran just freaked him the hell out by finishing his sentence about how chaos is a ladder. I'm really hoping that he reveals more about Baelish's involvement in Ned's death, so we can finally get paid off with Littlefinger being killed. Keeping on the roller coaster of Elena's savagery, Bran is just brutal with how he says goodbye to Meera. I know a lot of people are questioning whether the old three-eyed raven is really the one controlling Bran, and little things like Meera stating how he died in that cave are spurring this on, but I just think that Bran is struggling with the amount of information that he's taking in. Also, I think Meera returning to Greywater Watch confirms that we probably won't see Howland Reed this season, but I really do hope that he comes into the fold earlier on in season 8. On to Arya's highly anticipated return, and it was probably one of the best things in this episode. They gave us another throwback to season 1 for Arya with the guards not letting her into Winterfell, and just like the last time with the gold cloaks, she ain't taking no shit. The reunions between Arya and Sansa and Bran were pretty much as expected, especially with Bran acting up. It's really Jon Snow's return that we're waiting for to make this a proper reunion. He's definitely the glue that holds them all together. With Arya's return came the close runner-up for the most epic scene of this episode, the sparring session between Brienne and Arya. It had everything. Arya's slick assassin style, Brienne's boot of doom, and an epic standoff to end the fight. She just went toe to toe with Brienne. Seeing her fighting skills like this for the first time has completely changed my mind about who I think she could step up to in a duel. The mountain is still on her list, right? Let's head over to Dragonstone. Jeez Louise, was I not disappointed with this payoff. Seeing the Dragonglass Cave in all its glory was awesome, although slightly different to how I imagined it. I'm not gonna lie, I was completely gobsmacked when it showed us the caveman drawings of not just the Night King and the White Walkers, but the freaking symbols again. Most notably, the spiral symbols, and even the one from the first episode of the circle with the line going through it. Someone needs to decipher these ancient runes because they are not just symbolism, they have hidden meanings that have now been used on multiple occasions. There were quite a few new ones to go with them as well, so I will no doubt be spending the good part of this week trying to figure out what they all mean. This was also quite a significant scene between Jon and Dany because this was the moment where she finally believes him about the Great Others and that they're coming for them all. She pissed me off by asking him to bend the knee again, but at the same time, I loved the little throwback they gave to what Jon Snow said to Mance Rayder when he asked him to bend the knee. Aren't their lives worth more than your pride? Things start to get real when Tyrion and Varys have to drop the bad news about what's happened at Castle Rock, which by the way brings me back to my recent theory on Varys. If they can find out what's going on the other side of the country, why not in the north? I'm still convinced that Varys is informing on Daenerys' plans. I'm still torn as to whether there was something significant behind the scene between Jon, Davos and Missandei. It's like they were testing her loyalty and potentially planting that seed about whether she would actually be allowed to leave. I'm not sure if it will develop into anything further, but it definitely makes for an interesting debate as to whether she could be one of the people possibly informing on Dany. I don't buy it just yet though. We knew Theon was going to be making an appearance this episode, and I love how he immediately tells us what his agenda is going to be. He comes back to ask Queen Daenerys for help in getting his sister back. That, plus Jon didn't kill him. I like how he kind of embraced the confrontation with Jon. I would have been so disappointed if he just went back into his Reek form again, because the way he jumped off that boat showed all the signs that that was happening. I really do hope that these are the first steps of Theon turning his story arc around and at least bowing out on a high, because so far he's had it pretty rough. Okay, time to move to the main event and what was easily the best part of the episode. This is what the Spoils of War was all about. Dany has had enough of the clever plans, and she has taken Drogon and the Dothraki to go and catch the Lannister army with their pants down. When we first see Jaime and Bronn at the start of the episode, you can clearly see the effect Olenna's confession has had on him. Even Bronn guesses as much, that the Queen of Thorns gave him one last prick in the balls before saying goodbye. My oh my, if he only knew how big of a prick. And with what is about to come, this is surely going to take Jaime to the end of his tether with Cersei. We can see the carts of gold being ferried back to King's Landing not long before we see another little engagement between Cersei and the Iron Bank, and the setup for the big battle was just perfect. You have the support of the Iron Bank once the gold arrives. Back to the start of the battle, just like King Robert Baratheon stated, only a fool would meet the Dothraki in open battle. Hearing their screams before they were even in sight must have been truly terrifying, never mind when Drogon takes flight above them all. And these are people who have never seen a dragon before. I said I was desperate to see the Dothraki and the dragons fighting properly, and they did not disappoint. Riding their horses, feet on saddle, leaping from horseback, literally no shits given to the backline of the Lannister ranks, they truly took a spanking. The only thing I was a bit confused with was how Dany had Drogon burn up all of the carts containing the gold and the provisions, when she had just been complaining about wanting them. Also, they only had one of the Scorpion ballistas to take on Drogon, and apparently no one did learn anything about what happened in the Battle of the Bastards, as Dany thinks it's a good idea to constantly circle back around and fly directly at it. Proper Rickon style. Bronn had so many close calls this episode, and at one point he even had one of the Dothraki hunting him down. When he was facing off with Daenerys on the ballista, I thought for a split second that they were going to trade off with Bronn shooting Drogon, but only by taking a face full of dragonfire. The battle ends with Jaime trying to take out Daenerys. Had he just completely given up by this point? I mean, there was literally nothing left to fight for. Everything had been burnt to the ground around him. Luckily for him, Bronn is just on hand to save him as they both take a plunge into the lake, and the episode ends with Jaime sinking to the bottom. Weighed down by his armour with only one hand, I don't see him making it back up on his own. Maybe Bronn pulls him out, but I genuinely have no idea how they're going to get out of that one. Best case scenario is that Dany presumes him to be dead and flies off on an injured Drogon for Bronn and Jaime to then make an escape through the smoky battlefield. But let's go to a poll. What do you think will happen next? Will Jaime and Bronn make it out of alive and escape, or will they be captured or maybe even killed? Final note, was this Tyrion having second thoughts about the campaign after seeing the true destructive nature of the dragons? Will his feelings for his brother get in the way of his loyalty for his queen? Thank you so much for watching, guys. Let me know which parts of the episode were your favourite and if there was anything in particular that you noticed. I only just released my episode 3 breakdown, so if you haven't seen it yet, then please check that one out too. I'll be back shortly with my episode 5 preview predictions, so until then, 7 blessings to you all, and I'll see you guys later.